Real quick, this wasn't planned, but I wanted to make a special fifth bonus video because I didn't write it down, but this is kind of a secret benefit to doing all these systems and processes. When you have everything documented, when you have the job descriptions documented, when you have these standard operating procedures, when you have the troubleshooting guide written out, and when you have clearly defined off ramps or exit ramps for your ministry, guess what naturally happens? And if it doesn't naturally happen, guess what you can tell your volunteers? Your volunteers can then train other people to be on your team because it's no longer on you. Your volunteers know the job, your team knows the job, and therefore they can bring someone else on. I don't have to. Travis, my sound guy, can go to his friend and say, hey, why don't you come hang out in the audio booth with me? I'm running sound. You can run the slides. We've got all the instructions already. If you don't like it, you can quit after 4 weeks. Justin's okay with that. In fact, he tells you he's going to ask you. After 4 weeks, he's going to ask you how you feeling. And if you want to keep going, he'll keep training you. And he'll ask you what you want. It's pretty cool. And if anything goes wrong and he's not there, we've got a troubleshooting guide, and he'll pop in. I mean, he'll be there like the first month. He was there the first month with me. He was there behind me the second month. It's actually pretty easy because everything is written down. Your volunteers can then bring on other volunteers, and Travis can train a second audio person. Maybe he doesn't want his buddy to do slides. Maybe he wants his buddy to do audio too. So then he can train the audio person. And you can kind of step back and watch it happen, or you can shadow Travis to how to train another person. But as you have all these systems and processes documented, your volunteers can train more volunteers. It's kind of like the whole disciples making disciples things we keep trying to do in church. Well, your volunteers can make more volunteers. They don't have to know everyone to teach someone how to do their job. You don't have to. Me and Dave don't have all the answers in tech, but we know more than you do, so you listen to us for some reason. I'm just kidding. But your volunteers don't have to know everything you do in order to train more volunteers. That's the whole discipleship model. So the secret benefit of all of this, if you still don't know why you should do all this, this is why. When you have all this documented, when you have procedures, when you have processes, your volunteers can take those hard copies and make new volunteers. And you can sit back and not focus on the technical, but you can focus on what I call the adaptive, which means you can start problem solving because you're not running sound. Now you can be out in the audience figuring out where the sound is weak so you can think about speaker position. You can think about the looks. What am I going to do with the stage? You can take on another project because you're no longer having to run sound on Sundays. Now you can think about lighting, adding a light board because your team is growing. You could be out in the greeter ministry, looking at the greeters. What do they need? How can the tech ministry support them? You could even start go visiting other churches and taking notes on what they're doing well and bring it back and start to model that. Once your volunteers are training other volunteers, you are free to focus on the bigger picture and support more ministries where you can then bring more in volunteers. So you can have a kids tech guy running the audio for the new kids drama room. There's just a lot of things that we can talk about with this, but that's the big picture. That is the ultimate end goal. Volunteers running themselves so you can still lead the team and be there for the team, but you can also expand your vision and support more ministries. It's huge. It's huge. All right, this module is over. If you're watching it for the first time, continue watching. That's fine. Keep taking notes. If you've already watched this, it's time to get down to work. You need to make your list. This Sunday, you need to follow your list. You need to start working on the troubleshooting guide. Like I said, when I ended the mindset module, this is going to take a few hours. But if you don't put a few hours in now, why would you expect volunteers to put in a few hours as well? Okay. Remember, you have to be willing to do what no one else will do, but you also can't ask your volunteers to run sound blindly like you have, right? You need to do what no one else will do and make the documents, make the procedures and all that, okay? Now that you've got all that done, now you can start finding people. And you're going to stop making announcements. You're going to stop making bulletins, stop making slides, stop making stage announcements, stop making social media posts. So you're going to stop asking people on a broad scale to please join the media ministry, please join my ministry. We're going to shut that down right now. And I'm going to give you the actual way that works, a reliable process to find people and get them to say yes to coming onto your team. We're going to talk about that in the next module.